win, go win, go win, go win, go win, win, go win.
Let's transition and go out to a AFC battle as Aaron Rodgers and the 5-3 Pittsburgh Steelers are traveling to L.A. to take on Justin Herbert and the 6-3 L.A Chargers at SoFi. It's a Sunday night football matchup on NBC. The Chargers are favored by 3.5 points. It's an 8:20 p.m. kickoff on NBC. The over-under for this matchup is 44.5 points. So let's start off with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are 5-3 coming into this matchup, and they had arguably their best game of the season in Week 9 in their win over the Colts. They beat the Colts in Week 9, 27-20, and I thought in that game the Steelers' defense finally showed up and showed out. The Steelers' defense against a very, very elite Colts offense, they had 5 sacks on Daniel Jones, and T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Canu Benton, Derek Harmon, they got after Daniel Jones and the Colts. They got after him. And Daniel Jones had 3 interceptions in that game. And I thought the Steelers' defensive front finally showed up and they performed at a very, very elite level. And that's what it's going to take for the Steelers, because I don't believe in their secondary. I don't believe in Jalen Ramsey. I don't believe in Darius Slay. Joey Porter Jr. is nice, but that Steelers secondary, they are suspect. They are very, very suspect. So in order for the Steelers defense to get off the field, they have to apply pressure with their defensive front with Alex Highsmith and T.J. Watt as their pass rushers, and also Cameron Hayward and Derek Harmon on that defensive line. They got to apply pressure, because if the Steelers do not get to the quarterback, their secondary will get exposed. And so against the Colts, they did a tremendous job defensively. Now, offensively, they still can't run the football whatsoever. In that game against the Colts, Warren, 16 carries, 31 rushing yards. He did have 2 rushing touchdowns, but I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers this season, and for the season, they are averaging 87 rushing yards per game. That's ranked 30th in the NFL. So Aaron Rodgers is their entire offense. It's Aaron Rodgers or bust for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they have 0 running game to speak of, and it puts a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers. And also, when you look at the Steelers' passing offense, DK Metcalf is their clear number 1 receiver, but they don't have a true number 2 receiver. And this is why I did not understand why they traded George Pickens in the offseason, because DK Metcalf and George Pickens as a dynamic duo at the receiver position could have been in that conversation with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And instead, they decided to trade George Pickens to the Cowboys. And now, when you look at the Steelers' receiving stats, their second best receiver is Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell is second on their team and very important in their offense. But I'm looking at Calvin Austin. He has 19 receptions for 223 receiving yards. So Austin has more receiving yards than Gainwell, but Gainwell has more receptions in their offense. So I thought that was also a miss by the Steelers, because I thought at the trading deadline, I thought they would have made a move for a number 2 receiver to pair alongside DK Metcalf. Because once we get into December and January, if the Steelers make the playoffs, these defensive teams when they go up against the Steelers, they're going to push their defensive coverages more towards DK Metcalf, and they're going to try and take away DK Metcalf. And I don't believe the Steelers have another number 2 receiver in this offense they can rely on. They got DK Metcalf, and that's it. They don't have a consistent number 2 receiver that they can rely on in their passing game. So, again, I think that as an overall team and as an offense, Aaron Rodgers is carrying them. Now, when you flip the script to the L.A Chargers, the Chargers beat the Tennessee Titans in Week 9, 27-20. And the thing is about the Chargers are led by Justin Herbert. And for the season, Justin Herbert, 18 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 2,390 passing yards, completing 68% of his passes. Justin Herbert is playing some really, really good football. And they're on a 2-game winning streak. They beat the Vikings in Week 8 on a Thursday night. They blew out the Vikings. I believe it was 37-10. And Justin Herbert played very, very well in that game. And then they beat the Titans 27-20 in Tennessee. But offensively, the Chargers' offensive line is an issue because they lost right tackle Joe Alt and left tackle Rashawn Slater for the season. Both Alt and Slater are out for the season, and that's Herbert's 2 tackles. His left tackle and his right tackle are both out for the season. And they are trying to figure out that offensive line right now. Mekhi Becton, he's also been dealing with injuries, so he has not been in the lineup. Okay, they made a recent trade and brought in another offensive lineman. They brought in Trevor Penning. And I'm pretty sure Trevor Penning is going to get some looks at tackle because they are really, really thin at the tackle position, losing Slater and Alt for the season. So what Justin Herbert is doing right now with this bad offensive line is very, very impressive. It's very impressive. And Herbert, when you look at Justin Herbert as a quarterback, he's leading all quarterbacks in rushing yards. He has 305 rushing yards for the season. And mainly the reason why Justin Herbert has had to be more mobile and run the football is because his offensive line is banged up. And so I think Herbert in this particular matchup, going up against that Steelers defensive front with Cameron Hayward, with TJ Watt, with Alex Highsmith as the Steelers pass rushers, I think Herbert is going to have to run the football and use his mobility against that Steelers defensive front in this particular matchup again. Now, when it comes to the Chargers offense versus Steelers defense, head coach Jim Harbaugh, I expect Jim Harbaugh to try and run the football. I'm expecting him to try to run the football. That way, that can take some pressure off the Chargers offensive line. And if they can establish the running game with their running backs, then that will help their passing game. So that's going to be key. And in that backfield right now for the Chargers, they got Kamani Vital. Vital's averaging 4.7 yards per carry, 66 carries, 309 rushing yards, only 1 touchdown. And Justin Herbert is second on this team in rushing yards. So only Vital is their running back that's running the football. He's their premier back and their only running back on this football team. And Herbert is second in rushing yards in this Chargers offense. So I'm expecting Vital to be an X factor in this football game because I don't expect Tomlin to try to bring the house to try and stop the run. He's going to protect his secondary. Tomlin knows, like I know and everybody else knows, that his secondary isn't very good. So he's going to try to stop the Chargers running game with 6, 7 in the box. He's not going to bring 8, 9 in the box and leave his secondary to be exposed. So that's going to be a key in this game as well. I expect the Chargers to double TJ Watt. I mean, TJ Watt is one of the premier pass rushers in the NFL. When we talk about best pass rushers in the NFL, we think about Micah Parsons, we think about Myles Garrett. TJ Watt deserves to be in that conversation as well. But I'm expecting Harbaugh also to use 6, 7 man protections to try and protect Justin Herbert because the offensive line is so compromised. So the Chargers, they're not going to just line up with 3 receiver sets and allow the Steelers' defensive front to tee off on their bad offensive line. I'm expecting Harbaugh to have their running backs and tight ends help in their blocking schemes and protections for Herbert. That way they can open up the passing game. But this is going to be a very, very interesting game. I like the Chargers defense against the Steelers offense. And when it comes to the Chargers defensively, they are only giving up 177 passing yards per game. That's ranked 3rd in the NFL. They are really, really good on third downs. They really get off the field at an elite rate. Teams only convert 36% of their third downs against this Chargers defense. They're ranked 8th in the NFL, and they give up 303 total yards per game. That's ranked 6th in the NFL. So the Chargers are really, really good against the pass, and they are bad against the run. They give up 110 rushing yards per game. Good thing for the Chargers, the Steelers are one of the worst rushing offenses in the NFL. And so what the Steelers try to do well and with their strength of their team, which is their passing game with Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf, that is right into the Chargers' hands because the Chargers are a really, really good pass defense. They are ranked 3rd in the NFL against the pass, only giving up 177 passing yards per game. But it's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. But I believe that the Chargers are more of a complete football team than the Steelers are. I believe that the Chargers have a better quarterback in Justin Herbert than the Steelers have in Aaron Rodgers right now. So I'm rolling with the Chargers to beat the Steelers at SoFi in L.A. I'll go Chargers 24, Steelers 21.